Okay, I'd say within an hour ago, I was thinking about something, and it led me to remember. It triggered me to remember some things that had happened probably like 20 years ago, and and then it's triggered more thoughts since then that I'm thinking maybe I saw everything wrong somehow, some way. I just cannot believe it though. Um, not let me get to it here. Just let me skip right to it. It was, like I said, it was in the early 2000s, I think, and it was one of my sisters. She's younger than me. We both live in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Dallas metropolitan area, DFW, and this just we both live in suburbs of Dallas. Okay, and I'm going to say mine is north of Dallas, hers is south. That's not exactly how it is, but it's close. It's to show a distance, and Dallas is very big. And I don't even know now how long it takes for, like, if I went from my place to her place, because I don't tend to drive the highways. I'm more of a back roads kind of person. I used to do a lot of road trips. I learned my lessons. And she's more of the highway, and she will speed like you wouldn't believe. At least she used to. I never liked going too far with her. But anyway, so I mean, just that in itself is part of this weird thing I was triggered to remember. And that was back then. I know at one point I worked at the same place she did. It was in medical, and I worked during the day. She was there mainly in the evening. Okay, she had a full-time job. This was her. She was a management there, but she worked mainly from home. It's a whole story, but yeah. Okay, but anyway, some of the things that would happen is, now remember I'm saying I was mainly from the north, she was in the south, and sometimes we would work there at the same time. Like sometimes I'd go in on the weekend, and so would she, and nobody else would be there. It was a small surgical office office for a surgeon, and we both knew him, this kind of thing. And so we were there sometimes on the weekend, and I keep saying, and the weirdest things would happen, no matter what day it was, no matter what time, the traffic, whether it was rush hour or not, and we would run across one another on the road. Like I said, she would drive the highways. I drove mainly the back roads. But then once we were on the back roads, going toward the same place, and I'm not talking like right down the road from it, I'm talking like, say, 15 minutes away, we would run across one another on the roads. Like, I don't know how many times she would be like right in front of me, and I would honk and say, "Hey," at a light. And it was very extremely weird. This was when cell phones were relatively new, so it wasn't all this GPS and stuff like that. Nobody could, I don't even think the people had anything they could put on your phone so they could track where you were or anything like that. No, it was when all this was quite new. I mean, I had my first phone, I think, in 1990s, the late 1990s, I think. Our dad had one when he was, when I was young. I was still in school, but that's because or maybe right after, because he was on kidney dialysis back then, and people who were on kidney dialysis or whatever, something like that, were allowed to have phones, cell phones, not other people. I mean, that new, yeah. So, oh, what a story. But anyway, to get back to this with her, And I mean, I knew 100%, I did not believe she would be stalking me or anything like that. Okay, that was just, no. I'm not stalking her, she's not stalking me. It was just weird coincidences, right after another, and one after another. Okay, I'm having a little trouble with my throat here. But once again. Anyway, so it was so weird to me, because, like I say, no, it wasn't, well, I need to say, it wasn't always at the same place. It wasn't on the road. It wasn't going to even the same place, not always. That we were both headed in different, maybe even different places. But inside Dallas, and there we were, right there. Her right in front of me or right behind me, whatever it was so unbelievably weird. Okay. And she's one of those, I think she gets a little freaked out on stuff like that. I'm just more like, I'm trying to figure out what's causing this, how weird this is. I want to find out some logical explanation for it. And she just gets weirded out, and she doesn't want to talk about it. She just wants to block it out. That kind of person. She used to be. I don't know. I went no contact with her. My choice. 14 years ago. Yeah. So, and you would say, well, isn't there some kind of connection? Not really. But maybe. Here's the part that, I said that I kept getting triggered to remember the different things. Now, and when I was thinking about this, I was thinking, how long would it take me to, back then, get from my place to her place? I only went to her house, I think, twice. I don't even know if she still lives in the same place, but I didn't like the neighborhood. I wasn't a fan. Didn't want to really care to go there. And I had never met her husband until, and they had been together for many years. Just the whole situation was very strange with her. And I met him, and I thought he was like way too attracted to me. Seriously. And I just got this feeling, uncomfortable feeling around him. Anyway, because, a lot of people thought she and I were twins. She's 6 years younger than I. So, and I would make a joke, like people in the elevators and stuff, because we worked at different places that we went to. Sometimes when we got there, we'd go up the elevator. People would say, oh, are y'all twins? I said, no, actually, she's the older one. And they'd believe me, and she'd get mad. But I used to always look younger than my age. So, but I would say that jokingly, and she'd get so upset. But, because they believe me. She's the older one. She's my older sister. She's 6 years younger. Yeah. I have a weird sense of humor. But anyway, so these things kept happening, okay? And about her going to her house, it triggered a memory of, that the reason I only went there twice is because I didn't like the place. I never told her that. I never told her I didn't like the neighborhood. And the house was very, very small. And I just didn't like going there. And then, sure, maybe there was something about my demeanor. But here's the thing. I only remember one time. And I was just standing there. I went there to drop off something, I think. That was the whole thing. I went to drop off, so I didn't even sit down. Okay, I think it was something from work, and I didn't even sit down. So long ago, I don't remember. But there was another time before that. Because I remember she was cooking something, but I didn't stay there. I didn't eat. I was never there from probably more than, either time, more than 10 minutes. Okay. And her husband, according to her, what happened after that was that her husband said that I let their dogs out the back door. How could that have happened? How could I have? I didn't remember. And I told her I did not do that. I don't appreciate that. And she said, well, no, he said you let the dogs out. Well, where was she? Okay, so there's, and yes, I'm not new to this planet. I know, if you watch TV and, I say this because just recently I saw this on TV on some show. It was about a woman being controlled by her husband and I've known this for ages. I'm a social and behavioral scientist. The whole cycle of abuse, how they get people away from their family, and so yes, I could say that was the case, but I don't think so. I actually think it's her. It was her, and like I said, that thing about him, he seemed too attracted to me, and I thought, could that have been what it was, that she noticed it and she got mad? But then there was something else that had happened, and I ran across, it's a whole story, man. Years later, and he actually, he was over at our house. He had owned a business, and it was to do our roof, and he was on the, that. He was here, and he made some comment about letting the dogs out. So then I said, no, it was him, and he laughed about it, though. It makes no sense. It made absolutely none. But she, according to someone that had been her friend, her friend, I don't know how many years, she said that my sister was a very odd person. I said, what do you mean odd, And she and her girlfriend, that woman and her girlfriend, told me that that this sister of mine, this is nothing odd. I mean, I never did it. I've never done it. But I've heard of people do it. Like you have a dog and you really love your dog and it dies and they get the ashes, for that. And they said she'd put them on the mantle. And I'm like, I had really no opinion of that. I had never done it. And I thought, okay, maybe a little odd. I don't know. And when we've had dogs die and they say, do you want the ashes? And I think Adam actually went and got the ones from the ashes from the dog that died last year. And I said, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see the box. I don't want to see anything. So he hid it somewhere. He put it somewhere. He understood. But it's not my thing. It's not my kind of thing. I'm like, so what? I'm not a gossip like that. And none of you will know my sister. So I don't even know her anymore. But anyway, just these trigger, these memories and all this stuff about, and there was quite a few odd things, really. Like, she used to have hair like in the front when we were back in the 80s, I think. Women had, they would call it a poof of hair in the front, poofed up or something. I don't know. I never did, but I didn't have big hair either. But she would have that, and she never changed the look. Her look. She had that 20 years, I guess, and around that time, and her stepdaughter, was probably maybe 10 years old or something, somewhere maybe younger. And I had gone to a beauty place and got my hair highlight. I always would highlight it blonde in the summer. And okay, pollen's getting to me. But I'd have it highlighted red in the summer. I mean, blonde in the summer, and then some in the winter it was more auburn highlights, auburn shade, whatever they call it. They changed over all these years, the terms for everything. And anyway, her daughter, her really young daughter, saw it and told the sister that, her stepmother, that she really thought it was beautiful, and my hair looked so beautiful. She told me right then. I mean, actually, she didn't. I think they were in my I think I had a car, SUV then, and, you know, said it. And my sister got really jealous. And she changed her hair to just exactly like mine. And since then, she has not gone back to the poof. You know, whatever it was. It was way outdated. But she's the type, you tell them, they don't want to listen. So, I really don't tell people what to do and what not to do. Unless they're about to hurt themselves and or others, no. You know, seriously. I'm pretty much stay my own lane kind of thing. And, so anyway, some of these memories are coming back, and I'm, start connecting and thinking, it was always some kind of awkward thing, odd, like the winding up at the same place on the road. I mean, I'm not talking like once or twice. I'm talking about many times. And like I said, it was never really near where we were both headed, and we come from different directions. And she came from the highway, I come from the back roads. So it was all that oddity combined, yeah. Very, very odd. And then, like I said, I've never known, why would her husband say that? Was he really trying to keep her from me, or was she trying to keep him from me, from being around me? You see what I'm saying? Who was to blame there? And I mean, if she wanted me to go somewhere with her, she would either come here or meet me somewhere. Seriously, so he wouldn't find out. It was always weird. Seriously, just very weird to be that person on that side. And but my thought was more leaning toward her. Honestly, except when he laughed about the dog thing, made absolutely no sense that he laughed about it. He's telling her that, apparently he didn't want me to go to their house because I let their dogs out. If he was telling her that, why would he be laughing about it? Unless he's quite psycho. Really, seriously. So, anyway, right before I started, this was right before I started making this video, and this was my fourth attempt just at the start of it. But right before that, once again, I looked up something, and what I looked up, it just like it changes everything. It makes me not feel like making videos, really, honestly. Because some of the stuff that I was looking up, I don't know. But sometimes I feel like that. And so, my mind is sitting here going, do I want to do this anymore? Really? Do I want to make videos anymore? Is it worth it? My videos, my channels had been, I used to think it was shadow banned was the term. But shadow ban, you can actually check, there's some way, you can Google it, and it says how to check to see if your channel has been shadow banned. And mine, I did have several. Wasn't shadow banned. And there's also something called dead channel. Well, shadow ban, you have to do something against, terms of service or whatever. I don't want to lie. I don't know for certain. I'm not one of those. And dead channel, there's so many reasons it could be. I just didn't use it or something. When I got sick last year. But it has been that since 4 years ago. I've been making videos for 11 and a half years on my original channel. And for the past 4 or so, give or take years, all of them, boom, I have several channels. I do different things for different channels. And all of them, I'm about to delete a bunch of them. I'm about to delete out most of them. Because I really am feeling I don't want to do this anymore. What's the sense behind it, really? Some of the channels that I see that are actually promoted, mine aren't promoted anymore. I'm doing good to get usually doing good to get one view that's more than 1 second. I had one video, I don't even remember what channel it was on. One video was seen 6 times, and I looked at the analytics. It was seen 6 times for the average time spent with all 6 of them was 1 second. I wrote to YouTube, I said, can this really even happen? 1 second? Because isn't there some kind of, after so many seconds, and somebody's going to get that, they're going to be, I know it's not perfect because it could be a nanosecond, whatever, or one and not the other, but 1 second for 6, and that was all the video, all the views, 6. So why do I keep doing it, And I'm doing it for I'm really doing these videos for myself, to vent, but then I'm seeing so many things that that are adding to it, my need to vent. So this, I know you're saying, what does this have to do with the other? That stuff in this, because there's a lot of things that there's this connection in my head, not connection to her, but those things when you start seeing that, that's too much right now. But like I said, it kind of took away from my mood of wanting to make videos all around, and then so I wasn't able to even get this started right, And I'm thinking I'm going to find out. I've done it before, downloaded my channel back when I only had 2, and I'm thinking about doing them again and just going bye-bye, or at least just maybe keep 1 and not even care anymore, because I just the other day I decided I wanted to try 2 channels, that I didn't do this other stuff. I'm not doing anything illegal. Okay, I'm not doing anything against terms of services or community guidelines or anything like that. But I wanted ones that I just did what I started off doing. And I tried it. One of them, it was weird. I had tried it before and then I deleted it, but it kept showing up on my phone. So I did that one. I said that one might wind up being still bad. It might be finally deleted or something. So I started a different one, and I put the same thing on them. Okay. And it's the same thing. Like a handful of impressions were sent out, and I think 1 person watched each, from those 2 channels. I'm like, this is not. But what I had read again, and I Googled a question about it. It's something that I've asked before, and it's that whole thing of how quickly your channel could go bye-bye, and with no fault of your own, really. It just wasn't enough information, and who knows to ask questions when you have no clue that would be a an issue. So I don't know. I'm burnt out with it, I guess. Like I said, some of the stuff that I'm seeing online is causing me to have the reasons to vent. And this could be because I'm taking this medication now for my rare health condition. Both of them. This of me finally starting to question, why all this stuff happened with that sister. It was some weird stuff, seriously. And it triggered that. And, I'm being on this medication. Could that be it? It's a physical problem, but it's something that it makes the person, it's said that it actually can make a person feel anxiety and depression even. I've never suffered from depression. So, anxiety, yeah. And I don't feel anxious either, so it could. That doesn't mean it would. But I'm wondering what else might it mess up a little bit there, play with. so that I would have this weird thought about what's going on. And I looked at it, have always looked at it as just this weird coincidences, and there's something not right with their marriage. So maybe it was just he doesn't want her around me, or she doesn't want me around him. You know, vice versa, however, then some. I was never a fan of going to her house in the first place. I only went there twice, like I said. Was there for just to give her something and leave. Not a fan of the neighborhood, so no skin off my teeth. So, doesn't bother me. And I went no contact with her 14 years ago, so almost. Or is it? No. Anyway, it'll be 14 later this year. But anyway, I think I'm going to wrap this up. I don't know what I would do, but I think if I do that, I'll give, make a video and saying adios. There's just too much, too much that I see on videos these days that, like I said, like they really, I don't like to see all these swindlers, all these people talking about they smirk, and when they say it, they go to these food banks. I'm a social and behavioral scientist, and I see their smirks and their attitudes like they're holier than thou, that they're above it all, and the rest of you are just stupid people. Everybody's stupid to them. Some of them even seeing them do things like they laugh, their goodbye to their audience is to laugh at them. And basically, in their wicked little ways, they don't usually flat out say anything, but they let the audience know the audience has been stupid all the while, because all they wanted to do was to get what they wanted out of it, and which was the audience giving them money, and them saving money, making videos talking about going to food banks when they have the money to pay for their own groceries, but they need and I'm doing air quotes, a emergency fund, so they can, for emergencies, and they e-beg off of saying that they can't afford to feed their kids. And my thought is probably the same as yours, and we both know that we're not new to this planet. That if you have an emergency fund, you use that money to feed your kids. Or there could be something else being called in here. Seriously. If somebody's putting in money into savings and not feeding their kids, and I know that's why they go to the food banks, but you see the problem with the mentality. Okay, and you might say, well, everybody needs you don't know. I know, I do. I've been there, done that. I've been poor before. Oh, you betcha. And then And anyway, then they go on these elaborate vacations, $20,000 vacations. $20,000 vacations. Do I need to say it louder? Or they buy a brand new car or truck or SUV. Most people these days, Adam and I were talking about that, most of you see are SUVs these days. But it's been on that for a while. But you get it. They go and buy a new one. That's their emergency fund was for. They didn't need it either. They proudly insult their audience that they're moving on now. They got what they wanted. You stupid idiots. I mean, they were like this close to saying those words. Idiots. You fell for it. You sent me so much money. And it wasn't just one. Around $20,000 for a vacation. It wasn't just one. This is several. I was trying to count how many, not just the food bank people. They call them food banks, it's food pantries, but I looked it up myself because I didn't know. But it was several couples doing this stuff. this is what they're teaching their kids. And see, that kind of stuff just gets to me, And at this point in my life with my health and everything and what I need to concentrate on, I don't need that. I would rather, at this point right now, until my health gets back, I want my head in the sand. I never have in my whole 62 years, but I can't deal with that kind of filth. You know, taking food out of people who are needy because they're greedy. And it being acceptable and standing up there like they're voices of authority, and they've had these epiphanies. And everybody should listen to them. It's disgusting. It's despicable. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to be associated with it anymore. All of it is. So I've got work to do to take down my videos and take down my channels and say adios.